Have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Okay, here are 5 important reasons why your son or daughter should play a high school sport.
Number 1.
High school sports teach valuable life lessons like self-discipline, sportsmanship, and time management skills.
2.
Teens who play a high school sport have better grade point averages and fewer disciplinary problems.
Number 3.
High school sports help fight teen obesity and substance abuse.
Here's number 4.
High school sports provide wholesome, constructive after-school activity, perfect for today's families.
And number 5.
And high school sports are safer than ever before. Injury surveillance and research, better equipment, and the continuing education programs for coaches provided by state and national athletic associations have made high school sports safer than ever before.
This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hey, Chad here for the Sports Drive. Catch us 5 to 7 Monday through Friday for the latest in local, collegiate, and national news. Right here on Pensacola's sports leader, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Chad was great.
This is former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and Washington High School alum Derek Brooke. You're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there.
We are broadcasters, your home for Pensacola sports, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Bands on the Beach. Every Tuesday night, the sugar white sands of Pensacola Beach turn into your personal dance floor with cool grooves and hot tunes. So grab a towel, grab a chair, grab a cooler, and skip the Netflix binge watching and live a little. Bands on the Beach, brought to you by the Santa Rosa Island Authority.
Later tonight, it's Crosstown. They've been around a long time and they play all of your favorites, everything from rock to country and everything in between.
Catch Cat Country every Tuesday night at Bands on the Beach.
It's almost fall, and that means football. And ESPN Pensacola 1330 is all about football. We've got UWF Argos football every Saturday, high school football every Friday night. If you'd like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1 WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
It is Talk Football with Coach K. Happy Tuesday. Joe Ford and Coach K with you in studio as we just inch closer and closer to the start of the football season here. We have high school coming up Thursday and Friday for you on News Radio 1620, our sister station, as the Blue Wahoos are still in the middle of their season, so they're still on ESPN Pensacola, but we'll make the switch week 3 and beyond, so we're excited for that. We have Florida and Miami to look forward to on Saturday. We've got fantasy draft season, and we've got news and headlines in the world of NFL and college football. Coach K, how are you today, sir? Good to be with you as well, Coach. And I think we've officially reached the point that the offseason needs to go away. We've officially reached that point where the offseason has jumped the shark, and we just need football to hurry up and get here so we have actual football to start, and not who's complaining about a helmet, not who's holding out, and not who's getting upset about something that the owner is saying in GQ articles.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on today. None of it I would classify as being terribly newsworthy, other than the fact that we're in the middle of the offseason right now, or not really the offseason anymore, but it's preseason, and until the games of consequence start, it's just the reality of what we live in. But with that being said, look, we've beat the Antonio Brown story to death, and twice over. So he's filed a grievance again against the NFL, saying he didn't get the same year extension or year notice that somehow every other player in the league would have gotten except for him. But he's filed a second grievance against the league. He is back in training camp yesterday, so whatever you feel about the Antonio Brown situation, there's nothing that we could add to it at this point.
No, there's nothing we want to add to it,
exactly,
to be honest with you. That's kind of ridiculous.
We just want to know that on week 1 he is going to be playing, and he is going to be earning his keep to the tune of $30 million. So, look, if there's something terribly newsworthy that happens on this thing, we're certainly going to talk about it. But for right now, it's just Antonio Brown just trying to get a helmet that he's comfortable with, so more power to him and more power to the Raiders for having to deal with that. Do you think that the Raiders are regretting this decision, though? Or
I think there are some doubts. Let's put it that way. I don't think there's not a scenario where there wouldn't be any doubt.
Yeah, do you think they would take it back? Like, if you told the Raiders today, okay, if the Steelers went back to the Raiders today and said, hey, you know what? Give us Antonio Brown back, and you can have your 3rd and 5th rounders back, or whatever. Do you think that the Raiders would accept that? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But there's talk about the 5-day letter, the nuclear letter, which is a possibility. You understand what that is? If they write that letter, you have 5 days from the time that the letter was written. You will be ineligible to, absent a complete turnaround, you'll be ineligible to play football for the entire year in the National Football League.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll just
I doubt they'll
again.
Go there.
Yeah, we talked about it enough, and I'm sure if you're listening, you've heard about it enough. So that's we're just going to respect all parties involved here. So more power to everyone. Antonio, as he tries to get a helmet, and the Raiders for having to deal with that. So maybe some hurt feelings, right? So Zeke Elliott, who's in Cabo, we believe he's training and keeping his body in as good a shape as can be expected. The owner, Jerry Jones, came out. He was talking with reporters in kind of like a media scrum, and he was asked a question about Zeke Elliott. And somewhat, if you've listened to the clip, if you've heard the clip, Jerry somewhat he meant it to be funny. He meant it to be a joke.
Certainly he did. I mean, it's beyond the pale.
Yeah, and said, Zeke who? And word got back to Ezekiel Elliott and his agent, and they're not happy, of course. Now, do I think that, truthfully, that Zeke Elliott and his agent are Zeke's losing sleep over this? No. Do I think that this is pandering, or this is trying to negotiate publicly? Yes. I don't think Zeke's feelings are hurt by this. I think that he is just using any sort of leverage, any sort of mechanism that he and his side can to get the deal that he wants. So you have Jerry Jones saying Zeke who, and Ezekiel Elliott saying, "Oh, that's disrespectful. I don't appreciate that coming from the owner of a team." that's an avenue that they may be able to kind of push in negotiations. Who knows? But it's amazing the stuff that's making news.
I'll tell you, there are some very newsworthy things. These young kids and how they're playing. There have been some outstanding performances, really.
Yeah.
And then to have a clunker last night.
How about that?
Garofalo, but he. Yeah. Listen, I've got all the confidence in the world in him. I think he's an excellent quarterback, and I think he'll be back.
Yeah, well,
he's just got to play.
Let's talk about Garoppolo, because it certainly seems like the evidence would point to there being some sort of a buyer's remorse if you're the 49ers. Go back about a year, and Garoppolo was kind of on top of the world there, where everybody had anointed him as the next best thing, right? He came from the Patriots system. The 49ers put up a lot of money for him, guaranteed, after they had traded for him, and he goes into the season last year. He gets hurt in the third game, and the 49ers were never really pushed for the playoffs last year. They just didn't have the talent to do that, and now, there's a lot of question marks about, okay, what exactly do we have in Jimmy Garoppolo? And, Coach, I know you're very high on him, but I think the questions are legitimate in that it's been a while now since we've seen that elite production that everybody saw in New England when he was filling in for Tom Brady. It's been a while, and, of course, in the world of the NFL, everybody has a short memory.
Here's the way to look at it. He's only played 9 games, okay? But in those 9 games he's played in the National Football League, he has been outstanding. Not only with New England, but he goes to San Francisco, and they're winning. All of a sudden, they're winning every ball game with him at quarterback. He gets hurt. Now, to judge him or to even think about buyer's remorse or anything like that off 2 series in a preseason game, crazy, because he is a good quarterback. There's no doubt about that. And from the standpoint of what he's done to this point, he's proven it. Now, he's proven it to the extent that they have a track record to go on. Okay, obviously you'd like more games. He needs more experience, no doubt about that. And he's got that leg problem. Yeah. I can assure you, anybody, whether it's a quarterback or back or anybody else coming off an ACL, there is a tendency, a hesitancy when you first come back.
Yeah,
I know that. I've been through it, and I've had players go through it. You know that's going to happen. Now he's playing against a good rushing deep with Chubb and Miller coming at him last night, and they can't hold him up. San Francisco did a poor job of giving him any comfort in the pocket back there. So naturally, he was a little hesitant. He certainly looked terrible throwing the football, bad decisions, and getting rid of the football to avoid He got rid of the football to avoid the hit. That's very obvious. So when I add all that together, I think it's just a part of the game, and it's unfortunate that it was so bad last night. But he'll be back. The kid will be back. He's a good football player.
And it was evident that he needs the not only the experience, but he needs that live action where guys are kind of diving at his knees, diving at his ankles, because I think there is something mental there. And the interception that he threw, I think it was on the second series. It was a third down, and I want to say 7 or 8 or so, and he kind of just threw it up there, a 50-50 ball, which first glance and just kind of seeing it live, the decision making, in my opinion, was pretty poor there. He had Bradley Chubb there, who I think he got there a lot sooner than Garoppolo expected him to. But yeah, and I think when I say, maybe thinking about buyer's remorse, I'm not necessarily only talking about the 5 interceptions last week and then the passer rating right now, because it's preseason and we always have to remind ourselves, the preseason lies to us, and that can be both a good and bad thing, right? All of the the guys who are performing very well that we say, oh my goodness, he looks like a natural. Well, it works the other way too, where folks, guys may not have a really good preseason, may not look sharp, but then once the lights are turned on, it's a completely different story. So
Sure.
you do have to be careful not to overreact to whatever you're seeing, good or bad. But the fact and what you said is that the best ability is availability, and the fact of the matter is that Garoppolo has such a short, small sample size of what he's been able to do as a quarterback. Certainly can't help the fact that he got hurt last year, but the 49ers are committing a lot of money to this guy, and his stock, his the way people look at him is much different than what they looked at him a year ago. But again, that's a short-term thinking, perhaps. It could be could just be fool's gold right now. Who knows?
Well, I think from a coaching standpoint, it's pretty well accepted, and what he's going through. By the way, we need to remind people that we've got Danny Sheridan coming on here in about 3 or 4 minutes, and what a delight, what a treat. Every time he's on the Paul Feinbaum show, they spike with listeners. So anyway, you're going to have quite a treat coming up with Danny Sheridan. So I know we look forward to it as well.
Yeah. And we're going to get him on the line here in just a moment, so we'll come back with what Danny has to say, and then we'll hit some news and notes from around the world of college football as well coming back. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K, new home, ESPN Pensacola 1330 on the FM 99.1. We'll be back in a moment.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate. But you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume. Like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Drop the anchor, will you?
Sure, Grandpa.
You tied it off, right?
Tied what off?
The anchor. And the rope that the anchor was attached to.
There's a reason they say curse like a sailor.
Oh.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Many reasons. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
So much for fish for dinner.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies.
Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
At ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1, we are football. Catch the biggest high school football games on Fridays. Every UWF game on Saturdays. Then on Sundays, get ready for big games with the NFL Tailgate Show from 10 till noon. Plus, talk football with Coach K weekdays from noon till 1, recapping the games and breaking down the upcoming matchups. It's football season, and it's on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K. Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM FM 99.1. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K. Joe Ford and Coach K with you in studio. And as promised, joining us on the line right now, Danny Sheridan. And Danny, either the best friend or the worst enemy, depending on the college team that you root for. And Coach, good friends with Danny, and great to have you on, sir.
Thank you, Joe. And there's no worst enemy. I'm just picking games. I'm not curing cancer.
I know, but that's most everybody knows that. Of course, Danny is the odds maker on football for many large publications and others. He has a large base of clients that he works with, and I appreciate you coming on. I know you and Paul Feinbaum have quite a get together every now and then.
Well, no, I appreciate you asking me, and that's funny you said that because I told Paul, I said, Kay asked me to be on Tuesday. I'm doing K Show Tuesday, and I'm doing that Nut Job Show, Feinbaum, at 5 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on Wednesday. So it'll be a Feinbaum-Stevenson weekend.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, Daddy. Listen, I know your time's limited, so I'm gonna jump right into some questions here, and if there's something that you can't answer, I certainly understand that.
Sure.
But we got 2 big ball games coming up here that our people are looking at here to open up this week, Florida and Miami. What do you see going on here, Danny?
Well, Florida's a 7.5, 8-point favorite, I believe. I haven't checked it lately today, but last year I got lucky and said when I spoke in Gainesville I thought Florida would win 9 or 10 games because the cover wasn't left there by McElwain, and they did. This year, sort of like South Carolina, where they did well last year, the 2 years before that, Florida did extremely well. That's probably one of the best coaching jobs in the history of football, in the sense that they won 4 games the year before, and to win 10 is, I don't remember the exact, but it's probably the third time in college football history that's ever happened, where a team lost 4 and then won 10 or more, or a team lost 5 and won 10 or more. This year, I think they're going to be the hunted. Felipe Franks is the key. I don't like Florida's offensive line. I don't know anything about them. I normally speak at Florida every August, and I'm not speaking until September, so I haven't actually had to seen them in practice. Not that I would know any more. You would know if you saw them in practice. But as you know, they have an inexperienced offensive line. The answer to your question is I think they'll win 8 games this year, not 9, 10, or 11. I don't say they're dropping off. It's just that with that offensive line and the competition they face, I would take Miami plus 7.5. I don't pick the first week, but there's only 2 games, I think. Well, actually, the Auburn game is in 2 weeks. But I would take Miami in 7.5 because I think Florida's offensive line will not be able to protect Franks, and I think it should be a close game. In the Auburn game, I don't bet on football. I pick games for people that do bet on football, but I make charity bets at the Beau Rivage Sportsbook every year when they open up. They just opened up a $10 million sportsbook last August 1st. They opened up their temporary sportsbook, and I was there for both. And my largest charity wager this year was Auburn to win 8 or more games, more than 8. I think Auburn will win 9, 10, or 11 games this year. I'm the only one that's high on them. My reasoning being not because they have a good coach, because I don't think he's a good coach. He's an 8-5 coach. Not bad, Kay. $49 million for 7 years for 8-5 record. But I said he wins every 6 years. This is his 6th year, and I think he'll win. That said, for me to win my charity wager, I think they'll beat Oregon. They're a better team than Oregon. They have the best defense, certainly defensive line in the country, and they have they do. They have the top 5 defense in the country. They're loaded at every position but quarterback. All they need is a game manager. So I like Auburn. If I'm right, they'll win that game by double digits, and I like Miami in the points.
Wow. You know, it's interesting that with Malzahn, and I had heard, this is a little interesting with Stidham, you know, their quarterback last year, but when he came over from Baylor, and I had a couple of people, one in particular that's an outstanding NFL scout, has been for years, and he told me that Auburn was getting the real deal in Stidham. He said, this kid can play.
I believe him.
And they just, Malzahn could never put together an offense to take advantage of a quarterback like Stidham. Now look at what Stidham's doing in New England right now. They may have ended up with the draft pick of the year, and late in the 4th round to get Stidham at New England. He may be the guy that takes over for Brady, you know.
No, he will be, probably. But, no, you make a great point. And to further strengthen the point, Stidham had a great year his first year by his standards. And the second year, just like whenever Malzahn coaches somebody, they go down. He went downhill last year because you get adjusted, or defenses do, to his high school offense. And, he screwed up every quarterback except for Cam Newton, and it's impossible to screw him up.
Yeah. Danny, let me jump here quickly to the college football playoff predictions, your predictions there, and who eventually comes out on top.
Well, another charity bet last year. I don't mean this to brag. I got real lucky again. I don't bet, but it was nice to win 4 out of 5 charity bets. And one of them was, besides Auburn, to win less than 9 games, which they did. That was an easy one. This year, as I said, I picked Auburn. I bet on Auburn to win over 8. My national championship bet last year was Clemson getting 4-2 odds. This year, it's Georgia. I took Georgia plus 4-2 odds. The week before, it was 8-1 odds, but they didn't let me do that. They gave me 4-2. And I also took Georgia at 2-1 odds to win the SEC. I think Georgia is every bit as good as Alabama on paper, probably better. They've had Alabama down 14 points at halftime, and then Kirby, for whatever reason, or his offensive coordinator, or both, decided, hey, we're passing the ball, we're passing Alabama silly, let's start running the clock. They lost both games. One was a fluke. Should have won probably both games. And then, of course, as you know, Kay, I don't care who you are. You got less than 3 minutes to go in the game. You're ripping Alabama's defense. You're tied. You're at midfield, 4th and 11. You don't call a fake punt. You punt the ball to Alabama. Let them try to beat you in half. Let them try to beat you in overtime. Alabama's kicker, I'm probably better than him. He's horrible. And you have a huge advantage in overtime, and I don't know why he didn't punt the ball. And giving it to him on that stupid fake punt, I don't care if it would have worked, it was stupid. Giving it to him in midfield with 3 minutes to go, it took Alabama almost 2.5 minutes to score. They could never have driven 80 yards, and nor would they have tried with Jalen Hurts. But, hey, answer to your question is Georgia's my team this year. I think this is definitely, if they don't win it this year, they're not going to win it for a long time.
Well, let me ask you something about Georgia. You may have a lot more information there than I do. There's a lot of concern about Georgia losing their top 4 receivers last year. Now, I know they have good talent coming up, but they're inexperienced. How do you think they're going to compensate for loss of those receivers?
Well, that definitely hurts, but it's like every year. I never heard of Jerry Jeudy at Alabama, and I never hear these receivers. Julio Jones, I knew him he's from this area, Fairhope or Foley, Alabama. But they always have good replacements. Kirby's had 3 great recruiting years. Georgia, K, has the best offensive line in the country. That's pretty impressive. They've got a first-round draft pick at quarterback. They've got DeAndre Swift, their running back, who could start for Alabama or Clemson. So they're loaded, and you say wide receivers, you're right. But those guys can certainly, if they're on scholarship and they played backup, they're ready to step up. Are they Julio Jones or Jerry Jeudy? No, they don't have to be. And their defense is really solid. So I don't think it matters. It only matters if the quarterback gets hurt and that offensive line gets injured, because they should really run roughshod over everybody. Might have a tough game against Florida, but the rest of them, there's just no comparison, including Notre Dame. I don't know if they'll beat the hell out of Notre Dame, but they should.
Well, that's pretty strong, buddy. What about what are your thoughts on the 4 teams in the playoff, Danny? Any feeling there? Georgia, obviously.
It's no surprise, but like last year, to leave Georgia out of the playoffs was a travesty, and it just shows the acumen of the voters. It's all political. We don't want another SEC playoff. And Georgia should have been in there, and you would say, or somebody would say, when I've done an interview, well, didn't you notice Georgia lost to Texas? Georgia didn't care about Texas. Georgia had 2 of their top stars say, we're not playing. Now, if Georgia had beaten Alabama and was going to the college football, the title game, you think those boys would have played? Of course they would have played. They didn't care. And that's what I loved Texas last year. They're watching Texas on film lose to Oklahoma. And what are they going to do, hold up a finger and go, we're number 3? Once Alabama or Georgia loses that SEC playoff game, you can go against them in a bowl game, as I did when I took Utah. I picked Utah against Alabama. They won straight up. I picked 17-point favorite Oklahoma against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. Why? Because Alabama didn't care. I don't care what they say. Once you lose that chance, all Alabama cares about, they don't care about beating Auburn. They care about winning the national championship, and so does Georgia. So once a team like that, and for this year, whichever one of those teams, if they meet in the SEC championship game, whichever one of those teams gets eliminated, you can go against them in the Sugar Bowl. They'll lose outright. I don't care what the line is. But back to your question, Alabama and Clemson, only way they're not getting in is if one of their quarterbacks get hurt. That's Alabama. Clemson, they're probably, of anybody, Alabama Clemson has a 70% chance of making the 4-team playoff. Georgia probably has about a 40% chance because of the SEC fatigue factor. Georgia would be my 3rd team because they deserve to be in there. They're better than anybody that I'm looking at. Then you have a drop-off. It's either Oklahoma, and if Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, gets hurt, they're out of it. But I would say Oklahoma's probably a slight favorite against the winner of Ohio State and Michigan. I think what it'll come down to is Ohio State and Michigan will each lose probably 2 games. Oklahoma will lose 1. And then you have the politically correct playoff committee deciding who's better, Ohio State and Michigan or Oklahoma. I think Ohio State and Michigan are better with 2 losses. But I don't have to worry about that. But those are my 3, and I guess, I hate to hedge, either Oklahoma or Ohio State and Michigan winner.
Who do you think comes out of that?
If you ask me, Kay, as a football guy, as a stat guy, I can answer. If you ask me to speak for the committee, if it comes down to that, I can't answer that.
I understand that. Yeah. What do you think about the Pac-12 out there, other than Oregon?
I'd say the only way that Utah's pretty good, and Oregon's not bad, Washington's not bad, but I'd say the only way they're going to this game is if they buy a ticket.
Yeah.
That's the kindest way I know to put it. They're just not in the mixture.
You certainly put it on the line.
And listen, who's in the mixture if Clemson loses their quarterback and they don't go? You can forget the ACC. No chance. In the Pac-12, whether they like it or not, they're just not in the same. I don't care if Oregon beats Auburn. They're still not in the same league as the SEC, the Big Ten. Well, they're in the same league. They just have 2 or 3 teams that are better than average, and the rest of them, they're like Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and maybe Tennessee until they rebuild.
I think the Big Ten has improved in their overall depth of teams. Iowa State's a better team. Nebraska's going to be better with Frost out there. And
I agree, but at the top, I think because of that, you'll probably have 2 losses with Ohio State, Michigan. Of course, they play each other. There's 1 loss, but one of them. But yeah, I agree with you. The conference has definitely gotten better, but I can't say that about the Pac-10. Maybe you can, or Pac-12. Excuse me.
No, I agree there. I think if Oregon beats Auburn, there's a chance that they could run through that Pac-12 out there.
That's true. I wouldn't disagree, but I think in the end they're just not. I don't see Pac-12 teams. They're not built to last a whole season. They play 9 conference games, and they just upset each other because there's a lot of mediocrity out there, and they're just not.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, I guess that Tennessee or Arkansas or Mississippi or Mississippi State, you could say maybe they'll upset Alabama, but hell, I'd like to bet on all 4 of them, not even scoring 10 points on Alabama, but that's another story. But it's a different conference, as you know, different. Makes a big deal. Speed down here is frightening, and the defensive line play, and you could go on and on. The teams down here, most of them in the SEC have what Clemson has, just a solid, defensive team. And Alabama this year, not Alabama, but the SEC has a surprising number of quarterbacks, and they also have a couple of transfers that are Heisman Trophy candidates, as well as Alabama's quarterback and Georgia's quarterback. So the SEC has contributed to like 4 or 5 of the top Heisman preseason candidates, something I didn't think I'd say for many years.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, I want to talk about them in just a minute, but I want to ask you just a couple of other quick questions. What about, you say quarterbacks in the SEC, and I think they're really 2 obviously key quarterback positions that have some input on national rankings, quite a bit of input on national rankings, and that's Georgia and LSU. As those quarterbacks go, I think those teams go.
Well, let me add this. If Alabama, if Tua gets injured, Matt Jones, I mean, I'm sure he's okay, but hell, if Tua goes down, if not Fields, he's the transfer. He's a Heisman candidate. He's a transfer to Ohio State. But yeah, if Fields goes down for Ohio State, their history. If the quarterback transferred from Ole Miss 2 years ago, if he goes down for Michigan, history. Oklahoma, if Hurts goes down, who they got behind him? And the reason for all this is because if Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback, goes down, their history too, as far as the winning the title and making the playoffs. And the question, as you know, or the answer is, why is all this happening? Because all of them, like little babies, when they can't start, they transfer to, they make up some crazy thing, and they transfer to another school, something the NCAA better fix and quick, because you got free agency at quarterback, and you got, Fields is a great quarterback. He says, I'm a freshman. Hell, I can't play, so I'll make up some silly story about my sister getting harassed or something. She's an athlete, and get a shyster lawyer, or let me just say this, a lawyer, to defend and go against the NCAA. I might have that same lawyer just gave up his job, is now working for the NCAA, but that's probably a smart move by him. And then you have also not just him, but the name I'll think of in a second, Easton of Washington. He's a Georgia quarterback too. He couldn't make it. And Fields, as a freshman, couldn't out-replace Fromm, the senior. So instead of waiting and being a man, like a little baby, I can't play, so I'm transferring. And it's the same with, Hurts did the same thing. At least Hurts stuck around. I don't have a problem, nor I'm sure do you, if a senior, a graduate student, says, I want to leave. Hell, he's got 1 year left. I don't blame that. But these other guys, they need to put that 1 year rule in, no exceptions. And if you want to transfer, you got to sit out a year. And that should encourage him to be a man and hang in there for a year and see how things go. In the case of Fields, you're talking 1 year. I mean, Fromm will graduate this year. But the little baby wants, I say little baby, that's a hell of a way to tell you, to train or to teach your children, hey, if you don't succeed, just cut, don't worry about it. Cut some corners and go somewhere else, as opposed to suck it up and meet your obligation and prove yourself. Well, failure, you can't be successful, I don't believe, unless you failed a few times.
Listen, I agree with you totally. Quickly, I know you got to go, but I've got to ask you, get your comment on, the ACC. You got 2 teams in the top 25. First, Clemson, and 25th, Syracuse, I think.
I don't know how they made it. Well, let me sum up the ACC. Syracuse would be at home. They played Clemson tough the last 2 years. They'd be an 18 to 20 point underdog when they play. Clemson will be a 5 touchdown favorite over every ACC team they play. That's great for Clemson. Alabama will be a 3 to 5 touchdown favorite over everybody except LSU. They'll be 15 or 16 in Tuscaloosa. At Auburn, 13 or 14. At Texas A&M, 13 or 14. And I might add Clemson will be about a 18 to 20 point favorite over Texas A&M, 25 over South Carolina. So you're talking about two programs that are light years ahead of all of college football, and their only problem is if they lose their quarterback, they got a real. Then they're a half normal team. They're like a little bit better than average without their starting quarterbacks.
Yeah. By the way, I like Alabama's backup quarterback. I think he's
Matt Jones.
Yeah,
Matt Jones,
pretty good quarterback.
Interesting. Well, you would know. You're a coach. I've seen him. He looks okay, but I don't know. Tell you a quick proposition that the sports book have. It's really a tough one. I wouldn't know who to pick. If you take, you get odds. Not much, but you get odds. If you take 3 teams to win the national championship, and you win if any of them win, those 3 teams are. And you tell me what you would do. Clemson, Georgia, Michigan. You get 6 to 5 odds in your favor, or you can take Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma and get 7 to 5 odds. If I put a gun to your head, which 3 teams would you prefer? You want me to repeat them again?
That's an interesting question.
That's tough. I mean, do you take Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, or do you take Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma? I wouldn't know. I mean, I picked Georgia to win the national championship and bet on them, but I wouldn't. It's a tough proposition. I think I'd have to have more than 6 to 5 odds. I would not know which of the 6 to pick. Anyone else wins the title, I'll be very surprised. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I would too. You quickly, you mentioned Heisman Trophy.
You didn't tell me your. I told you I have no opinion.
Oh, I'd take Alabama because I think I would take Alabama.
All right, so you take Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma over Clemson, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me say this: no matter what you say, you can't argue with anybody because those are the 6 best teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Odds to win the Heisman, real quick. I know it's a little jump be talking about the Heisman, but it's kind of interesting. You said you had done a little work on this, so let's hear it.
Yeah, the SEC, the top 5 candidates are either SEC quarterbacks or transfers. For example, the 2 favorites we all know. 2 of Alabama, who's going to be a number 1 pick, Wright K, and Trevor Lawrence of Clemson, number 1 pick if they don't get injured. So those are your 2 top favorites. It'd be maybe a 3 or 4 to 1 underdog. Both, one from Alabama, obviously one from Clemson. Okay, the next group is Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma, courtesy of Alabama, Justin Fields, Ohio State, courtesy of Georgia. So now you got 3 of the 4 top contenders, SEC or former SEC quarterbacks last year. And then the 5th one, Jake Fromm from Georgia. So pretty impressive the quarterbacks that this conference has developed. And I hear great things, and you would know as a coach, about Felipe Franks, that he's really a gifted athlete. But, Kay, I don't care how gifted you are, you got to have an offensive line or you're just going to get killed. And your psyche's going to be destroyed.
I'm not so sure I can agree with that. I think Mullen, I give Mullen a lot of credit. I think he did an outstanding job.
I agree.
Because I've said up until the last of the season last year, after the last 4 games, that Florida didn't have a quarterback. And,
no, he didn't. You're right. It took him a while. Plus, the offensive line was shuffled, and they finally came together. Is it P. Ryan, the running back he's like a 1,000-yard rusher. He's from Theodore, right outside of Mobile. They really do have a lot of talent. Got a lot of talent on defense, but they're really lacking at the worst place that you could be lacking in the conference. At least I think they are. Inexperienced offensive line.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for him. I certainly agree. Danny, I have kept you as long as I possibly can, and I do appreciate it.
It's not going to be a problem because I'm going to send you my speeding ticket, and you're going to get 11 to take care of it for me.
Okay. All right.
Hey, thank you, Kay. Look forward to talking to you again. Take care.
Thank you, Danny.
Great stuff there. Thanks again, Danny Sheridan, joining us on the program. And, Coach, a lot of interesting comments that we heard there, and we will go ahead and take a break and break down what we heard coming back. Talk football with Coach K, ESPN Pensacola, 99.1 on the FM, 1330 on the AM.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, not for sale to minors. Website restricted to adults 21 and over.
Let's be real. Most smokers aren't looking for some overcomplicated vaping machine. That's why we created My Blue. My Blue is simple. Our pre-filled liquid pods mean there's no mess. One charge and My Blue lasts all day. And with our range of flavors and nicotine options, you have a choice. My Blue answers on what matters for smokers. Real nicotine satisfaction.
Find My Blue in a store near you or order online, myblue.com.
Tuesdays are the worst. They're all that stands between you and the downhill part of the week. But now they're a lot less worse, because Wing Tuesdays at B-Dubs are buy one, get one free traditional wings. So Monday, you may kick off the week. Wednesday, you may have a cool nickname. Thursday, you might be the almost weekend. But watch your back, because Tuesdays just officially became Wing Tuesdays. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar! Buy one traditional wings order and get one of equal value free. Participation and promotional details vary by location. Check in with your favorite Buffalo Wild Wings to learn more about this offer.
How good are PXG clubs? Golf writers describe them as absolutely remarkable and the best golf clubs out there. Our customers call them insanely good and say they live up to the hype. So what are you waiting for? Step up your game and enjoy golf more than ever. Call 844-PLAY-PXG, 844-PLAY-PXG, or visit pxg.com to book your custom fitting. PXG. Nobody makes golf clubs the way we do. Period.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K. Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, FM 99.1. Listening to Talk Football with Coach K. Joe Ford and Coach K in studio with you. We just heard a really good, really insightful interview with Danny Sheridan. Thanks again to him for joining us here. And a lot to digest, a lot to react to, and we'll do that in just a second. Quick news blip here in the world of college football. Of course, now we're just, 4 days from the start of the college football season, Florida and Miami. And this will be only the sixth time that they've played in the last 32 years. Both schools already looking to the future, Coach, as Florida and Miami announcing a home-and-home series in the years of 2024 and 2025. So already getting those on the books in the future. Wish we still had that series going on an annual basis. But it's always good to when those two teams get together. So 24-25, get that on your calendars. Florida and Miami coming up.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I agree. I think they should play every year. I'd love to see them play every year. We used to play every year. Played Miami and Florida State every year, and I think Spurrier, when he went there, got that canceled. That series canceled with Miami.
So a lot to get to with Danny Sheridan here. We got about 15 minutes left, and so I don't want to waste a whole lot of time here. The most interesting thing to me that he had to say was how high he is on Georgia. To me, not that Georgia isn't on the short list of teams that project to get to the playoffs, but it also brought up the interesting point of every year. It seems like we always have the discussion around the time when it comes to picking who should be in the college football playoff. Is it the 4 best teams, or is it the 4 most deserving teams? And last year, Georgia probably should have been in, whether it was the 4 best teams or the 4 deserving. They didn't get in, but that discussion already, comes up every year around the time it comes to select the 4 playoff teams, and Danny seemed to hint that was going to be happening again with Georgia specifically, unless they win the SEC championship.
Yeah, I think what he was basing it on was the fact that he feels that Georgia's offensive line is very, very good, exceptional. They do have an exceptional, experienced quarterback. They have a back that's one of the best backs in the league. They do have talent. He's not concerned about the receivers. They'll have talent there. And they've got a good defense. So if you put all that together, you should have a good football team. And I know from top to bottom, they're stacked with some exceptional talent and good depth. So I can see where he's going. I really can. I think it's got merit.
Phone number 972-1945 if you want to weigh in on anything that you heard. We've got Jonah on the line. Jonah, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing?
Good. What do you got for us?
So that was actually my first time being able to hear Danny talk. He's pretty funny. But I wanted to have a point of clarification. Justin Fields' appeal to be able to play immediately was based on the fact that a baseball player at UGA made a racial slur at him. Was that not the basis?
I think you're right. It was. I think you're right. There was something about that, but I think the major reason that he wanted to get out of there was because of Fromm. He wanted to. I'm sure. Listen, I know how these colleges work, and that regardless of what college it is, I'm sure that he got the impression through conversations with Georgia that he was going to come in. He was the number 1 recruit in the nation when he came out of high school. He got the impression that he was going to come in and be the starter. And that didn't happen. Legitimately didn't happen. Fromm was much the better quarterback for him. So I think he got out of there to go get a starting job. I know Ohio State was very high on him, and one of the schools that he had thought about going to before he committed to Georgia. So he picks up his football and goes to Ohio State, and I think that's the way it happened. The other was, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. It certainly may have happened. That's unfortunate if it did, but it may have happened, and they could use that to further reason why he should leave.
No, I agree. I believe it was a really good argument by his lawyer to go about policy and making it seem like exactly what you're talking about so he can get an opportunity somewhere else. But the issue that I have with Danny said about ending it, I think he called it free agency. I don't have a problem with people transferring schools if they don't win the job. I'm all in the spirit of competition. But at the same time, I'm not trying to see another Blake-Finn situation happen when the man sat for, I believe it was 3 or 4 years. He only gets one shot, and his one shot didn't get him an opportunity to really do very much in the pros. Not everybody's Cam Newton where they show up, go undefeated, win a national championship. Granted, I don't feel like the transfer and play immediately rule should be a thing because it goes to work against the idea of someone being a free agent. But if these young men want to go about getting an education in a different place because they don't like it and have an opportunity to play somewhere else, I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's pro and con, to be honest with you, Joan. Back at the time that I went to school, that was just unheard of. You know, if you committed to a school, if a school committed to you, it was an existing contract. one you didn't break, just part of it. I could see pro and con. And for these people to say, well, we don't get anything out of it. My goodness, what is a college education worth? All the books, the food, the housing, everything. It doesn't cost a cent. That's worth quite a bit. So anyway, we could go on.
These young men that. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, we could go on forever talking about the situation with players and where that's going, but I'll leave that for another time. But specifically to what you're talking about, I can see both pro and con of somebody having a chance to go play.
All right. Well, I appreciate Joe's time as always. Looking forward to talking again soon.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jonah. So a good question there, and as far as Justin Fields is concerned, the only people that really know is Justin Fields and the attorney Tom Mars. Do I think that the likely reasoning that they gave to get Justin Fields the immediate eligibility was the racial incident? I would assume so. That makes the most sense to me. But me being an Ohio State fan, I'm certainly a beneficiary of the decision that was made. And I also recognize that the way it probably looks to most people in the landscape of college football. Really, there's only a handful of people that know the true reason of how he was able to get the immediate waiver to play right away. Same deal with Tate Martell down in Miami. Whether that will ever come out, probably not. We just don't know.
I have to say, Joe, you think you're a beneficiary. You may not be.
Hey, yeah, and who knows? But who knows? But again, good conversation there as always. When we come back, more reaction to what we heard from Danny Sheridan. That's coming up next. Talk football with Coach K. ESPN Pensacola 1330, 99.1 on the FM.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, everybody. You're looking live at Fansville, a college football utopia.
Fansville.
Where the rivers flow with ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Delicious.
Where every day is Saturday, and everyone's a fan, even babies.
Fan babies.
And the seasons never change, because the only season is college football season. Get a taste of Fansville this fall during a college football game near you. Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Grab some today.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 FM 99.1.
We're still doing this, right? This is actually happening. We're going to let this happen.
You can also listen anywhere. ESPNpensacola.com. ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 FM 99.1.
We're still doing this, right? This is actually happening. We're going to let this happen.
You can also listen anywhere. ESPNpensacola.com. Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K. Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Joe Ford and Coach K with you. Had a really good interview with Danny Sheridan, and a lot of good insight there as whether you are a bettor or not. A lot of good insight in how he sees the college football season shaking out. Had a short list, and again, not a real surprise here, but had the short list: Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Michigan as the 6 teams there. Really good question. If you had to choose Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, or Clemson, Georgia, and Michigan, which way you would go? That's a really good question, and I have no idea. That's a tough one. But Coach, almost time to get out of here, and certainly want to take time to highlight the sponsors that allow us to do what we do every day.
You bet. I'll tell you, the Levin Papatonio Law Firm, one of the world's finest law firms right here in Pensacola. And my goodness, if you have need of legal services, you got the best right here, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and call. And, I might mention that Pensacola Shooting Range, Joe, one of the best and certainly the only one in this area, indoor shooting range. But you can go out there and if you say you heard it on this show, got all the guns and whatnot that you could ever want, lessons, and so on. So it's a great opportunity there, and we thank them all. The Bob Tyler, Toyota, Hill Kelly, Tom Thumb, Damien's Ice Cream, where you can get a heck of a deal there too. We'll talk more about that at a later date, but we've got the best sponsors anywhere.
Absolutely. And, Coach, really quickly here, is there anything else that kind of stood out to you here? We got about 20 seconds left before debuting a new show every Tuesday, Gator Talk. So your alma mater there. And Felipe Franks had some good insight there, Coach, as we are just 4 days away from the start of the college football season. And Gators and the Hurricanes scheduling a home-and-home series 2023 and 2024. So after Saturday, won't have to wait too much longer.
Well, I'm happy to see that. I think it's something that should happen. Florida State, Florida, Miami. Yeah.
It's almost fall, and that means football. And ESPN Pensacola 1330 is all about football. We've got UWF Argos football every Saturday, high school football every Friday night. If you'd like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1, WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
And welcome into Gator Talk right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1. Like a little fight song to get you ready, and the season kicking off with the Florida Gators. I am Chad Berliante. Glad to be with you here as always. As one of the big things when we came around here for ESPN Pensacola, joined the Cat Country News Radio team, was bringing local sports. And one of the big things to do, as we just had an NFL coach, former college football quarterback at Florida, leaving the studio, and Coach K. Stevenson. You can hear him on Talk Football with Coach K each and every afternoon. And then the Sports Drive tonight, we'll have a number of interviews, planning an interview coming up here as well. And we're going to have some sound clips with the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, coming into town next Tuesday. Everybody pumped for that event with the Northwest Florida Gator Club right there, right down the road at Scopolo. So we're looking forward to that as well. And the game to kick off the season. Not one of these games with a team that you've never heard of, where most people sit around and it's an excuse to maybe get out of chores or an event that you didn't want to go to. And it's football. It's college football. What we live and breathe. It is back. And this year we get a game. It's hard to call it a rivalry. In sports in general today, we say a lot of things like, wow, that was so amazing. This guy's a Hall of Famer. We're putting Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterback of all time. And look, I'll tell you what, Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. But sometimes we immediately jump to conclusions before things are said. And we like to say rivalries. Yes, you can make a case for every game in a conference that could be a rivalry. The one thing Florida and Miami have is some bad blood. If anyone knows the history, and the Gator fans and all the fans out there listening know since the 1970s, a little bit of hate. Fans don't like each other. If you ever been down to South Florida, probably had a cup of Cuban coffee, a little more jolt, will get hair like me, breaking down the, probably have to get a Rosetta Stone to learn the language. And then you go to Gainesville, where it's a college within a city, or a city within a college, to be more exact, of pretty much everybody around there in all the towns in Alachua. Going right there on Archer Street, through Ocala, the villages, Micanopy, wherever you are, Perry, Florida, Lake City, fans of the Gators. Live and breathe Florida football. And for generations, had been dominant. Just like in the Panhandle with Florida State, just like in Tuscaloosa with Alabama, where things stop on a Sunday, and just in the Plains like Auburn, and in Baton Rouge with LSU. And one of the things that we wanted to bring back was college football, 1 to 2. A full lineup throughout the day. Golick and Wingo kicking you off in the morning with NFL talk, with college football. All the biggest games on ESPN. Number 1 rated show. Dan Lebitard adding a little flair, having a little fun. Some of those people in their car driving around and enjoying a laugh or two. Then with Talk Football with Coach K. Stevenson, a former NFL coach, right here in our own backyard. And then the college football shows from 1 to 2. With Florida, LSU, Auburn, Alabama. Teams out there like Florida State that will be represented not only by the teams, but also by the local alumni, the local people having a chance to speak at some engagements. This morning was out there at the Gulf Breeze Rotary Club. Thanks again to Hal George, our folks out there that had us go out there and speak for the 4th straight year, and a lot of great fans. And they had some good predictions. Jeff Davis and I were out there, and it was funny because one of the guys brought up a prediction that I was right and Jeff was wrong, so obviously we got off to a good start. It's nothing like a guy. I don't know what I had for dinner last night, or if I even ate lunch half the time, let alone some of the people keeping the stats from last season. So thank you. Our prediction was the Florida Gators over-under at 7.5 last season, and it did come through. So makes us look a little better when we give you that information. Danny Sheridan was joining Coach K. Stevenson, the guy that actually is one of those very few. It's like the select few in one of those superhero movies that got to write the line that helped push the lines in Vegas. And living out there with an alias name, 4 years Vegas Chip, that's not an easy thing to do, is to be one of those select few guys. But Danny Sheridan's been doing that for a while, and Coach had that interview, enjoyed it earlier. The Florida Gators this year, we're going to break down the season. We're going to get to the game that kicks off the season coming up here in the home of the fake national champions, Go Knights, right there as Florida and Miami will battle it out. Over 65,000 people excited for this one, already sold out, and they're going to feel the excitement of trying to make that next jump. The Florida Gators, depending on what poll, have been ranked between number 6 and number 8. And it looks like they're going to be number 8 overall in the official USA Today's coaches poll. When I say official, preseason polls mean pretty much water cooler talk and around the office. Doesn't mean much. You lose a game early, you're out. You start winning a couple games, you're in. If anything, if you are ranked higher at the beginning of the season, you have a better chance to get in. The difference is teams like Miami and Florida know if they run their table, they're pretty much set anyway. Because that would mean at one point Miami would have to beat Clemson, even in the ACC title game, and Florida would have to run the gauntlet of what is always a tough SEC schedule, plus add in Florida State, plus add in Miami, which you're already taking 2 of their conference games, adding it to an already brutal 8-game conference schedule, and they're guaranteed to get in. There are some schools that know that they even have wiggle room with 1 loss. Florida and Miami know that their schedule and how it's set up this year, having to play at LSU, Miami, Florida State, Georgia, Auburn. Their 2 games in the West are Auburn and LSU this year. Florida probably could lose 1 game and get in, but the Gators are trying to take that next step after a 10-3 season. And in Gator Talk, we're going to focus. The sports drive tonight will go all over the place. Sort of the nickname, Waffle House. Chunk, covered, smothered, everywhere. That's where the show goes. But we cover a lot of sports in a very limited amount of time. Choosing your own adventure. Could be talking about NFL football, San Jose Sharks the next second, into college football. But here's the deal. Right now, the Florida Gators, a 10-3 team last year, but one of 2 teams, to me, that took the biggest jump to the next level. In the last few games of the season, scoring 41 points in a big Peach Bowl victory right there over the Michigan Wolverines. Davis Allen and Jordan Glass had it covered right there on the sidelines with call-ins live on the sports call. Davis will be actually at the game, covering the game this year, and we'll have live call-ins for 11-1, the sports call this weekend, and looking forward to talking to him and hearing that from the game. 41 points against FSU, and even though that's not as significant as it's been in the past, because Florida State was down, when you beat a rival, and a rival that dominated you over the past 7-8 years, had the bragging rights, it means that much more. Heck, they share the same building with their 2 clubs. I'll be speaking and have an opportunity to be at both with the Northwest Florida Gator Club and the Greater Pensacola Seminole Club right there at Seville Quarter. So you look at both of those schools, they have a lot of respect. They have a lot of championships from the days of Danny Werfel, who was right down the road in Fort Walton Beach, one of the greatest men and Heisman Trophy winners, but just an incredible individual. I like everything about Danny except his little road right there on Danny Werfel Way over the Mid-Bay Bridge after you pay about $10 in tolls and the craziness of traffic in Destin. Outside of that, everything about Danny, and I don't think he actually chose that road, but they named it after him, and it is awful. Outside of that, Danny's an incredible human being, gives back so much to charity across the entire South, and even his time with the New Orleans Saints. Charlie Ward battled him out, was a coach at Booker T. Washington, and right here in our own backyard. All those great rivals, and Florida has had so many great teams throughout the years. But this year, number 8 in the nation is pretty much exactly, if you're a Florida Gator fan, where you got to feel, if you're realistic, not one of the ones that's got a moonshine distillery, and if you do, it's probably going to be a good party. You might forget what team you're rooting or even the colors, because you'd be seeing many. But the difference is, on a Saturday, I think number 8 is realistic to where Florida feels. Right now, there's 3 great teams. 2.5. Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia's in that mix too, but Georgia is that person that is in that dogfight, is always there, and then seems to always, you got 3 guys that are scratch golfers on the course this week. And that guy just never makes the putt on 18. And the other guy is the Brooks Koepka with ice water in his veins. Georgia's always with them, can play shot for shot, stick it to 2 feet from a $150 out. But they just can never make the putt. And we'll see if that changes this year, because the Florida Gators are trying to jump right into that mix. But really, it's been Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia. And heck, if you woke up and you've been sleeping You haven't paid any attention to college football, and you just said, hey, I think Alabama and Clemson are going to play again for the 5th straight year in the playoff. Boom. Sadly, you'd probably be right. But that's how college football has been. And for the Florida Gators, they're one of those teams like Texas, like Ohio State now with Justin Fields naming the starter, or Oklahoma with Jalen Hurts, that is trying to take that next push into being, we proved that we're taking the next step to be an elite. But can we get over the hump? Can we become where people talk about us in Georgia? Because right now, when you look at the SEC and the landscape, it's Alabama out of the West, and can LSU, what team out of LSU, Auburn, or Texas A&M this year is going to make the push towards them? And in the East, it's Georgia, and can Florida make the next push? Tennessee's getting better. Missouri always scores a lot of points, but can Florida become Georgia? That's the big question. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to answer that yet. Dan Mullen, a quarterback guru, can work with the quarterbacks, can get them better, and if somebody can do it, it's Dan Mullen. They had a lot of M's, and I think that would stand for Not like but with Muschamp, McElwain, and then Mullen. Mullen's the good of the M's. McElwain's selling Shark Week DVDs, I'm sure. Shark Week After Dark DVDs, and Will, just kidding, by the way, for license purpose. And Will Muschamp is still asking what a Padawan is, and after 4 years had a 7-win season, 4-win season, and a 7-win season. That's not where Florida wants to be. 17-15 in the SEC. Mullen steps in 10-3 last year, a nice Peach Bowl victory, vandalized Idaho with 63 points, and ending on a 4-game win streak. And now they get to kick things off, and whether or not they dominate this football game, and whether or not, as a fan, you know more than everybody else for 1 week, week 0, like it doesn't even exist. Like the guy on the back of a pink Cadillac in one of those gangster movies. Never happened. Shh. Send the family off. Never happened. Week 0, they kick off the season. The Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes. A huge game with two teams that have won national championships and have been represented as two of the most elite programs in college football history will battle it out coming up on this Saturday. And all eyes will be on them. Not just because it's one of those neutral site games, because we get a lot of them. You're going to have Boise State, Florida State. You'll get Alabama, Duke, which hopefully is good for the coin toss after Tua takes it to them. It's not basketball season. Daniel Jones is out there throwing touchdowns for the Giants. You got games like Oregon and Auburn that, to me, might be the most intriguing. LSU, Texas A&M, huge games that might have college football implications down the road. But Florida and Miami for 1 week. And I think Hawaii's playing too, but let's just skip on. Hawaii's fun and people enjoy their time, but overall, outside of getting off the plane and someone putting flowers on your neck and, hey, you get laid, outside of that, it is nobody is paying too much attention to the football season. It's more about it's Hawaii, and you get to wear shorts and a Hawaiian shirt and get to spend some time watching a team, and that's where coaches like June Jones and all the coaches of the world go to retire, because why not? You take a little less money, but you get to wake up in paradise every day and have bacon and eggs while you watch football at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's how it works with the time. But the Florida Gators will own this Saturday with the Miami Hurricanes, and everybody will be watching. So people will assume, no matter what happens in this game, that that's the team they're going to see. And Florida knows their quarterback. It's not going to be a battle. At one point, Felipe Franks, we weren't 100%, but he's gaining the confidence, and he's got the tools. Drafted in the Major League Baseball draft, but he's going to stay in college as he should right now after getting drafted by the Boston Red Sox. A team that has a physical running game, but some of the things when you look at the Gators this year, some of the questions, the goods, a reputation of having a proven quarterback, a consistent guy that's getting better each and every game, averaging 35 points a game last season, and in the final couple weeks, even better. The bad, 3 of the top players on their defensive side, Polite, Gardner Johnson, guys like Voshan Joseph, now in the NFL. And when those guys were out last year, because they did miss some time, the Gators allowed over 33 points a game. So not having those key, and we know in college football, unless you're a team full of 5-star recruits, which is rare, but roll tide, the Florida Gators have sat there and they know that they need those weapons. Their defense has been good. But remember, with Will Muschamp and some of those anemic play calls came incredible defense. The McElwain era, they were consistent at times. There was a little bit of a balance, but nobody saw taking the right step. They actually, record-wise, were going backwards. Dan Mullen is a quarterback guru and an offensive genius and did more with less at Mississippi State. Seems like a fun-loving guy. Wins chicken wing eating contests, goes out there and has a chance to sit there and play Fortnite with the kids on Gator Talk. Man, just a blast. But at the same time, can he take the team to where the Gator fans want to see? The big question, those guys on defense. Who's going to step up and become that leader? And there's a lot of guys, like watching Jabari Zuniga come around the end. Or what we've seen from a guy like a Trey Dean III stepping up, or even the guys like C.J. Henderson, who's made a huge impact, tall guy in the secondary at corner. Which one of those guys is going to be the man? I'm telling you. LaMichael P. Ryan's going to get a lot of touches, and we know that. But the defense, which guy is going to take them and be the catalyst stepping up in the game? The Gators, a 7.5-point favorite. We're going to continue to talk a little Gator talk each and every week right here. Brought to you by all of our great sponsors, including Stephen T. Holman. Father's Right. Check him out today. Divorce attorney, injury law, whatever you need, Stephen T. Holman is there for you in the Holman Law Firm. Him and Justin, his son, doing a great job and have been a huge supporter of the Florida Gators for years. Check out the Stephen T. Holman Law Firm today and a proud sponsor of the Florida Gators. When we come back, we'll break down a little of the game. After 1988, only played 4 times, but every year it has been something else, including a first that we'll let you know when we return. It's Gator Talk right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 a.m. and 99.1. Coming back for more right here on this Monday afternoon.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
Tuesdays are the worst. They're all that stands between you and the downhill part of the week. But now they're a lot less worse, because Wing Tuesdays at B-Dubs are buy one, get one free traditional wings. So Monday, you may kick off the week. Wednesday, you may have a cool nickname. Thursday, you might be the almost weekend. But watch your back, because Tuesdays just officially became Wing Tuesdays. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar! Buy one traditional wings order and get one of equal value free. Participation and promotional details vary by location. Check in with your favorite Buffalo Wild Wings to learn more about this offer.
Hey, people at my friend's company got blackmail emails.
Yeah, it's a popular type of spear phishing attack.
Wow, that sounds serious.
It is. Scammers claim to have compromising information, like a video, and threaten to share it with their contact list, unless the victim pays a ransom.
What if they target someone at our company?
We're secured. Barracuda Sentinel uses artificial intelligence to block spear phishing attacks, including blackmail emails.
Well, that's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Sports are live and local on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Be a part of the show. Call or text at 263-1330. ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. This means you can hear ESPN Pensacola better than ever before with the same great shows like Golick and Wingo, the Dan Levitar Show with Stugatz, and the Paul Feinbaum Show, plus live and local sports on the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante, Talk Football with Coach K, and Sports Call with Davis and Justin. The same station, an improved signal, and a new name. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
Welcome back right here to Gator Talk on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1. Chad Brillante with you here today, having some fun. We're going to have a number of hosts throughout the year, and we appreciate you guys listening in from our folks. Jeffrey D., you can hear him on the Sports Drive with myself and Joe Ford throughout the football season, our sports guru as well. We'll have people like Alan Nicholson, Danny Zimmer, and many people stopping through and having some fun with us this year. And get a number of guests from Chris Doring next week. Coach Steve Spurrier will be in, as we're looking forward to hearing more. He's going to be down at Scopolo's for the big event right there for the Gator kickoff. And, man, last year you saw Dan Mullen come into town right there at Sanders Beach. This year at New World Landing. Check it out. And you can check out the event. Go to Northwest Florida Gator Club and check out their event August 27th, actually. It'll be next Tuesday, and it'll be from 5:30 to 9 o'clock. So looking forward to that event. Myself will have it covered and everything going on. Just a little of the offseason of the Florida Gators as they get set to go. This is a team that came off a 10-3 year. Their defensive coordinator, Todd Grantham, had got some offers but stayed with Dan Mullen, which was big. Felipe Franks, LaMichael Pirine on offense, going to be the catalyst. Wide receivers, guys like Trayvon Grimes and Van Jefferson on the outside. And on the defensive side, as we talked about, Jabari Zuniga, C.J. Henderson, names that you're going to really enjoy watching this year. But the schedule, if they can get by this Miami game, UT Martin, we're moving on. Once in a while, they'll upset somebody on like ESPN the Ocho in basketball, but not a chance this year. At Kentucky, if they have the confidence that they can win that game early, Kentucky's a tough one, and they won. But remember, before they won last year, and I was at that game down there at Seville watching the game with some friends. My dad actually, who's going to be back in town this week to watch the game, a Florida Gator alumni who I always joke with, used to carve UF in the hedge bushes for University of Florida at our house. My whole family, proud Gator alumni. But I'm just so glad it wasn't Florida University, if you get what I mean with UF in the hedge bushes. Florida University, if you carve those initials, you might have some cars pulling over to say a few words while you're doing some yard work in the middle of Central Florida. Just going to throw that out there. But you look at guys last year with Kentucky, over 30 straight victories against the Wildcats. So I think that they get back on track and win. Tennessee, Townsend, no reason why Florida shouldn't be 5-0 going into that October 5th showdown against the Auburn Tigers. Then it gets tough, and it doesn't slow down. Auburn, then at LSU, at South Carolina. I'm still going to call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail parties. Been to 4, remember 3, and it's always a blast right there around Halloween. Remember Gary Danielson and Vern Lundquist coming down the hotel. I'm sure they didn't remember this. This was past, curfew, I'm sure, for all of us, but nobody makes the rules for those guys these days. But a bunch of people dressing, having 42 ounces, and having some fun. You never know what you're going to get. Half the time, people didn't even make it into the stadium and had a blast for that game. But the game in Jacksonville again for Georgia. So Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, Georgia in a row. Vanderbilt at home should be a victory, but Vanderbilt is not one of those teams that you just pencil in as a victory anymore. They've got some good guys like Vaughn, and they're going to be very tough. A physical team. Every time you see Derek Mason, it looks like he's going to combat. He's got the cutoff like camo out there. One of those coaches you don't want to mess with in a brawl like a King of the Ring. And Vanderbilt plays his style. So a tough team when you look at the Commodores. They should win that game at home, though. At Missouri, Florida has struggled with Missouri. They don't like the high tempo. Florida's not one of those teams that wants to go toe for toe, point for point in a shootout. They don't have the quarterback, the style of play right now to want to go in a game where you're going to try to get in the 50s. That's not the style Florida wants. Florida wants to dictate the tempo and win games, if it was up to them, 24-10. That's the style. And in this one, going up against at Missouri is going to be tough, especially with Kelly Bryant. And an offense that's going to want to go real fast with Barry Odom. And then Florida State at the end of the season. So the first half of the season, this Miami game, a 7.5-point favorite, is huge. It is bigger than just a game about getting a victory against a longtime foe that they've only met 4 times since 1990 and since 1988. By the way, here's a little ditty for you, too. First ever telecast on ESPN was in 1984, Florida versus Miami. Da-na-na, da-na-na. First ever ESPN game right there was between the Miami Hurricanes and Florida Gators. That was televised on a telecast on ESPN, the 4-letter. So pretty cool stat right there. And this is going to be a rare rivalry. Only met 4 times since 1988. The Miami Hurricanes, their opponent, well, they've had a little bit of a tough offseason. Tate Martell comes in, cool man on the block. I'm not sure if you've seen his girlfriend's photos, if he'll be keeping that as the long snapper. Manny Diaz doesn't mince his words. He's the kind of guy who stepped in, and when he got the job as the head coach when Mark Richt suddenly retired, he steps in and fires the entire offense. Now, remember, he was the defense coordinator last year. He's been around the block. A lot of the coaches know him. Dan Mullen is friends with Manny Diaz. They've known each other for a long time. He was at schools like Texas, Mississippi State. He's been a coordinator for a lot of good defenses. They're going to play a physical brand. You know that, and they're going to hit some people. And this is a very intriguing game based on that Dan Mullen has been one of the most innovative offensive coordinators during his time. Remember, he was the OC and quarterbacks coach for some of those teams with Urban Meyer when Florida was winning the national championships in 2006 and 2008. So a guy that knows how to run. He had some pretty decent guys that got to go to campus. At one point, he had Tim Tebow and Cam Newton on the same roster. Not too shabby. Cam goes to Auburn. They win a national title, and the Church gets some stained glass windows in Georgia, in Duluth, that we don't talk about. Moving on from that. Looking at the Florida Gators, though. This is a huge game. They get that win, and there's a very legit shot and a potential to start the season 5-0 as they should. And with the confidence each week, will get them prepared. You lose this game, it's going to change the whole dynamic of that season. You're going to feel a little bit down. Yeah, you'll get a win next week against Martin. You'll get a win at home against teams like Townsend and probably Tennessee, who's not a slouch anymore either. But building up that momentum, huge in this game. And as a 7.5-point favorite, I think they do win this game, and I think they do cover when they play against the Miami Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, until last week, didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. We thought Tate Martell might be the guy, and the next thing you know, he is getting called out by the coach as a long snapper, if he wins the job as a long snapper. That's not good reassurance. And you have a guy in Jerome Williams who comes in and becomes their starter, who the confidence level is there, but really wasn't even getting talked about for a while a few weeks back. And we don't know a ton on this guy. And Miami, even though they're going to have a physical brand, the Miami Hurricanes are going to have a defensive front with some of the best guys in the nation. They've got some guys, if you have not seen this team, they're a team that a lot of people have as a top 25 type team, and a team that when you look at the guys up front like Shaq Quarterman, Michael Pinckney, one of the best around in that linebacker unit. And really, if you have great linebackers in college football, you got a chance to be in almost any game on the defensive side of the ball. When you get to the NFL, the game's so spread out, how the game is moving, and you got to have a good player at almost every position, or you can get picked apart by some elite quarterbacks. In college, if you have a couple linebackers that can sort of play hybrid, can rush the passer, can also drop back and get that pick six, is huge. And Miami's got that's one thing. They've got linebackers that will beat your wide receivers in track and field competitions. They've got athletes, obviously. That's why everybody in the country and their mama go down to South Florida to recruit. And Manny Diaz is going to have them even playing more of a physical brand. So over the last couple months in the hot weather, they've been practicing, getting ready for this game, and they've been hitting people. They're not going to be playing games on defense. But the quarterback situation is going to be a head-scratcher. That's going to be a one right now that is going to leave a lot of people wondering after N'Kosi Perry, no longer the QB, gone, and the situation with Tate Martell not winning the job and might not be there long. Thought he was going to get a pass, a hall pass, after the transfer portal has been going crazy this offseason. Justin Fields transfers out of Georgia, goes to Ohio State. Tate says, well, what the heck, man? I'm supposed to get the job. Dwayne Haskins finally in the NFL. This is my time to shine. Yeah, no. Next thing you know, he goes down to Miami and is not even going to be second string. Maybe not even third string, and maybe not too long, he'll be at a new school. Because that's what happens. You don't win the job, you don't fight for the next season, get the heck out of there, go to a new city, and start giving high fives in a new location in college football. That's the new world we live in, and that's how it's going to work. Education, what? Not really sure. Don't worry about those teachers and what classes you're taking. Just find a new school. That's how it works. It's college football. But this year, the Miami Hurricanes in this one, coming off a 7-6 season, I think that's about where they stand. And a 7.5-point spread, I know it's hard to justify what team's going to really impose their will early. But I like the Florida Gators to win this game. The over-under on this game, 47 points, and I see that being around where this final score is. I see the Florida Gators 28 and the Miami Hurricanes 17. I think that's a realistic and a fair score. My prediction on this, the Gators cover the 7.5 points, and they win 28-17 right there. I think the line will move up before game time on Saturday. It's 7.5 points. It hasn't moved much during the offseason, but you're going to have a lot of people betting. And I think this one moves up to about 8.5 before kickoff. The Gators are a better football team right now than the Miami Hurricanes. And this is a big win and a statement where everybody in the country might not watch a Florida Gator game. People up in the Palouse, up there in Washington State, or people in Oregon, in Eugene, getting ready for their own game, battling out in Geradome out there against the Auburn Tigers, or people in the Midwest who are getting set to go with Scott Frost in Nebraska. These people might not watch the Gators every single week or frankly care. But at the end of the day, this game, everybody in the country is going to be watching the Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes. And if they can go out there in front of a sellout crowd, college game day, having some fun out there in the home of my fake national champions, Go Knights, Campy World Stadium, going to be out there at their Disney, putting on some headdresses, having some fun with Albert and Alberta. I'm sure there'll be some memories of Two-Bits, Mr. Two-Bits, who passed away. George Edmondson, this year in his 90s, was a legend right there of the Florida Gators. But when all is said and done, the Florida Gators will be in the national spotlight, and very, very few teams get a chance to do that. Very few teams get to be the one in the spotlight to kick off the season. Not a neutral site game, but the one game that everybody will be watching on Saturday, because the hunger of the last, ever since the confetti flew on Trevor Lawrence and sunshine on that hair, when Goldilocks and the team took that national title and that trophy for Clemson, ever since that moment, it wasn't more than 2 seconds, and you get those phone updates, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, breaking down who's going to win the next week, who's 2019 odds for the Heisman Trophy. That's where we live in. Give it 20 seconds and move on to the next thing. And for Florida, they get one of those rare games where they kick off the entire season. One of the big reasons we're kicking off this show right out of the gate on Gator Talk. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some of the history of the Florida Gators in this rivalry against Miami. Also, talk more about where to watch the games and what to get involved in with Steve Spurrier coming to Pensacola right around the corner next Tuesday. We're looking forward to it right there with the Northwest Florida Gators over there at the New World Landing, and we'll be covering the event here in town. We're coming back for more. It is Gator Talk, brought to you by our good friends at the Stephen T. Holman Law Firm. Check them out today. Father's Rights. Coming back for more right here on Gator Talk on ESPN Pensacola 1330 and also 99.1.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, not for sale to minors. Website restricted to adults 21 and over.
I'd been smoking for a while. I tried vaping when it first came out. It just didn't work for me. But recently, I tried MyBlue, and it actually gave me the nicotine satisfaction I was looking for. MyBlue is easy to use, and it lasts all day. I even like having the different flavors and nicotine options. It's nice having a choice. I think other smokers will be surprised by MyBlue. I certainly was.
Find MyBlue in a store near you or order online, myblue.com.
Lowe's helps pros like you do it right to get more bang for your buck by offering savings you can count on every day. like Valspar 2000 Paint Plus Primer starting at just $19.98 a gallon. And whether you're updating properties or building new homes, get up to 30% off select appliance special values with 4-piece kitchen suites as low as $1,170. Whatever you need for your next job, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Appliance offer valid through 8/21, U.S. only.
Sports are live and local on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Be a part of the show. Call or text at 263-1330.
And welcome back to Gator Talk right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1. Done a good job saying that today. We forever on the Sports Drive when you host the show and you get it ingrained in your head. A lot of people think we got this crack production staff with people walking around handing notes and things like that. Actually, right before the show, I was ripping out my Lindy magazine to make sure I had all the names correct. And we do this for a living, so it helps. This is our job. I mean, we study it. But it was it was a lot of fun getting everything ready and for Gator football talk. But I think it's funny sometimes because forever you just tag ESPN Pensacola 94.5, which will continue to have. People have been finding us, and if you're listening right now, you're probably listening on 94.5. But very excited to make the announcement. 1330 a.m. right there. WEBY having a chance to now be across the board. ESPN Pensacola 1330 a.m. From pretty much New Orleans all the way to Panama City. You'll be able to catch the show each and every afternoon for Gator Talk right here, or each and every week. We'll have a chance to catch Gator Talk right here on the network from wherever you're at. Traveling to the game, you'll be able to catch it outside of Pensacola. And right before football, very excited as we're the home for the UWF Argonauts, Blue Wahoos baseball. The local teams got high school football this year, but having a chance to cover the local colleges 1 to 2 each and every day after Talk Football with Coach K. Stevenson, former Florida Gator and NFL coach. It's going to be pretty exciting. So looking forward to that right in time for the football season. And we're talking a little Florida Gator football here today as they get set to kick off the season right there in Orlando. A lot of fans, a lot of people going out to the game, and it should be a lot of fun. We're going to have it covered. Davis Allen will be out there as he will be covering the game for us. The Sports Call doing a great job with the show. Him and Jordan did an awesome job covering the Peach Bowl for us last year when the Florida Gators just took it to Jim Harbaugh, leaving him bitterly disappointed. I think there's always that coach and that player. Seems like I'm on the wrong side of a lot of it, being a New England Patriot fan. Somebody just threw up a little in their mouth, me just saying that, Belichick, that homeless looking. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Everybody has a team, a player that they don't like. Jim Harbaugh seems to be that guy. He doesn't mind being the villain. He doesn't mind being the guy that everybody hates. And when the Gators took it to him last year, it was a win for Florida, but it was also a win for a lot of teams that love to just see Jim Harbaugh get smashed. And they did. Lost a lot of guys. A lot of guys didn't play in the game to go to the NFL draft. But it was a huge win, and it got the Gators rolling into the next season on a positive note. The bowl games aren't going to change the dynamic of a team. Half the teams get up for it. Look, Georgia's not a worse team than Texas because they lost that bowl game. Georgia was one play away and a bad fake punt on 4th and 11 that left people going like Scooby-Doo. Whoop! When they were sitting there watching that game when they were playing Alabama, the winner of that game was going to be in the driver's seat for a good chance to win the college football playoff. Then Clemson steps in and goes, as Lee Corso will say, not so fast, my friend. But everybody thought whoever won that Georgia-Alabama game was going to be the frontrunner to win the national title. So that was pretty much a college football preview. Once they lost that game, it was a lot of and Texas threw it to them. I'm not going to sit here and use the excuse, well, they just did not care. It's football. They should have won that game, but they didn't. But the Florida Gators are looking to be right there at the level of Georgia. And I'm not ready. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to skip Bayless you and give you a false hope. I think the Gators should be confident. I think they have a legit shot to be a 10-2 team this year, but I don't think they're at Georgia's level yet. On a neutral site, which in a way Jacksonville is, it's a little closer to Gainesville, but on a neutral site game, currently the Georgia Bulldogs are about a 10, 13-point favorite over the Florida Gators. And I think that's fair. But Florida can prove a lot real fast and build the confidence, like we said, starting off the season where they're a favorite in their first 5 games, leading up until Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, Georgia, the gauntlet of the schedule. The good news, I guess there's positives in everything when you have to play teams like Auburn and LSU from the West. That's not easy. Like, what happened to Ole Miss in Arkansas? Come on, bro. That's the thing in the SEC. It was the old saying when a former coordinator for the Florida Gators, and he won a national title. He'd been around the block right there. Bob Stoops, good old Bob. Big game Bob. So Bobo was asked, why do teams not want to play the Boise States, the UCFs, those teams on their schedule? And he said, why would you want to? It's not your money, and the school pays the guy $500,000 to one of those small schools that you never hear of, and you don't know their mascot because you win by 50. You get everybody pumped for the season, and guess what? You have a gauntlet of a schedule anyway, and if you run the table or you lose one game, you still have a shot if you beat some of those teams to move on. You play a team like that, and you lose your schedule at the beginning of the season, then your season could be completely shot. The confidence is down before you've gone into the schedule, and it's sort of a lose-lose. For the Florida Gators, you know when you're in the SEC, you usually have wiggle room. When you play LSU, Auburn, Georgia, even though they're down a little, Florida State and Miami, those games on your schedule, and even Tennessee getting better, if you lose one game and they find a way to get to the SEC title game, at that point, they're pretty much controlling their own path to be able to go out there and beat a team like an Alabama or whoever wins the West. We assume it's going to be Alabama. Sort of pencil that in. But if they do that, that's going to give them enough. Nobody in that college football room, if they beat all those teams except one of them, with Georgia, LSU, Auburn's, Florida State's, the Alabamas, it's going to leave them out, so they know that. But you're sort of given that one hall pass. We've all done that. You know, you late night drinking, you're part of a crew, or you do something real moronic or something. For me, it's a long list. Cats get 9 lives, right? That's what I told my wife one day. But sometimes when you make those moronic decisions, you usually get one pass. Some things you don't get passes for, murder or other things that are horrible in this world. You should not. Some former Florida Gators did, sort of, but then it ran out of time after a while, if you know what I mean. We're in a different color orange before not being with us. Maybe he was a tight end, maybe not. But when it comes down to getting a pass on things, Florida knows that there's wiggle room for one. Leaving it to that Miami game is not a good choice. And frankly, if they lose that game, they will not have the confidence. I don't think realistically they're looking at a national title this year. But Florida, if they could beat Georgia and make a push with that schedule, if they could win 2 of 3 against Auburn, LSU, and Georgia, that would be huge. If they do that, there's a realistic shot this year that they can go 10-2. Or if they won one of those 3, still go 10-2. The schedule looks very good, even though it has some big names. It's not always about playing a bunch of teams that are in the 30s and 40s. When ESPN had their toughest schedule list, Jeff Davis and I, a Florida Gator alumni, will be joining us on Gator Talk throughout the year, and you can hear him on the Sports Drive from 5 to 7. Proud Northwest Florida Gator Club, part of the great crew that will be watching the games at Seville Quarter this year. But all of the Florida Gators, they know when you look at that group and that schedule, They know it's not always about playing a bunch of 30 or 40s, because we saw a bunch of the ratings of the toughest schedules in college football. And you'd be shocked, because Texas A&M wasn't even on the list, and they pretty much play 1, 2, and 3 in the country, having to play Clemson out of schedule. But the difference is they take the entire body of work. So you might play 1, 2, or 3, but then you play 128, 130 in some of those other games, and it balances out. Give me a bunch of 30 and 40s in the country over having to play 1, 2, and 3, and then 130 and 140. And Florida does have a ton of games outside of Auburn and LSU, a ton of games between 25 and 40 that they can all win. There's no Alabama. Also Georgia on that list, I have to add to Auburn, LSU, and Georgia. But they can win these games and have the confidence to get it done. Looking at some of the things with the Florida Gators, it will be a 6 p.m. kickoff this Saturday to kick off the season. So for the fans out there, it's going to be an awesome time. A 7.5-point favorite against the Miami Hurricanes. As I said, my prediction in this one, take it to the bank, the Florida Gators 28, the Miami Hurricanes 17. The Gators last year, that was my choice for over 7.5 wins. That was the game, the golden goose, the golden ticket, and it came through. Gators end up going 10-3 and solidified the victory. You always can get completely messed up one of those Hurricane games, as we all know, and it messes up. You look in the schedule like, how did you guys go 7-4? What's that? And you're like, I had 7.5, and that game that they paid that team, we know what. You can't count it. This year, hopefully, Mother Nature gives them every game to help out that year. But this year, the Gators are looking at over under 8.5, 9 wins. I've seen right around 9 wins. And I think 9-3 in the regular season is realistic. I think that's actually where they're going to be. But getting a bowl game, getting to take that next step, and like I said, LSU, Auburn, and Georgia are those 3 games. You can't overlook Miami, can't overlook a Florida State or a Tennessee. But those are the 3 games where if Gator fans sit there and say, you know what, if we gain the confidence where we can win 2 or 3, and that is not easy against those powerhouses. But if you can win 2 or 3 of those, then the Gators have actually a legit shot to be right there with Georgia. And if Georgia's one of the 2 of the 3, have a chance to get another chance to go to a SEC title game. They're not at Alabama's level yet, but by that time, who knows, the injuries and the confidence and the change. Looking forward to talking some more Florida Gator football coming up here in our final segment. A reminder coming up at 2 o'clock, the Mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum, and always the fun callers. Yesterday I found out how to get a raccoon out of an air conditioner, and also that one of the toughest schedules will be the Tennessee Volunteers. I think the Auburn Tigers have the toughest schedule, in my opinion, in the country. And later on this week, I'll talk to legendary Auburn coach Pat Dye. But we're looking forward to some more Gator talk. The big event coming up here next Tuesday. Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach, will be in town right there at Scopolo's New World Landing. And if you want to check it out, go to the Northwest Florida Gator Club as their Facebook page, and you have a chance to sign up. So Gator fans out there listening, next Tuesday, have a chance to meet the old ball coach in person, and it should be some fun. We're looking forward to one more segment coming up. It is Gator Talk, brought to you by Stephen T. Holman Law Firm, when we return right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
Summer's here, and there's no better time to hit the road. At AutoZone, we have the Duralast batteries you can rely on to drive with confidence. They're proven tough, even in the most extreme conditions. That's because they're designed to improve performance and provide your ride with a powerful startup. And they're available only at AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Visit us at AutoZone.com to get everything you need and start the job fast. Based on data from the MPD Group Incorporated, Car Care Track 12 months ending December 2018.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 FM 99.1.
We're still doing this, right? This is actually happening. We're going to let this happen.
You can also listen anywhere. ESPNpensacola.com. ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 FM 99.1.
We're still doing this, right? This is actually happening. We're going to let this happen.
You can also listen anywhere. ESPNpensacola.com. Sports are live and local on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Be a part of the show. Call or text at 263-1330.
And welcome back. Gator Talk right here on ESPN Pensacola. 1330 FM 99.1. And also you can hear each and every day on 94.5. I am Chad Brilliante. Coming up here tonight on the Sports Drive. We're going to have some fun. And then Pensacola Blue Wahoo Baseball will take it off right there at 6:35 with Chris Garagiola. As always, first pitch as they're taking on the Mississippi Braves from out there in Pearl, Mississippi. Having some fun. Was actually doing some grocery shopping late and listening to Chris in the call yesterday. And he's doing a great job taking over for now Tommy Thrall, who's out there with the Cincinnati Reds. And Chris has done an awesome job. So looking forward to Blue Wahoo coverage on your home right here on ESPN Pensacola. Well, the Florida Gators getting set to go here for the first time in a while. Since 2014, the Gators will have a returning starter at quarterback. And that means something, too. When you think about it, Felipe Franks started off, you know, it's like sort of that guy that grows on you after a while. There's always going to be the fan. There's levels of fan base. You know, we all know him. There's the guy that no matter what you do, you can throw a 29-yard pass down the field, and they're like, why couldn't he have tiptoed out of bounds for 30 yards? Or the guy that's like, you know, a QB sneak, and you gain 2 yards, and the next thing you know, you're asking for something else. There's always the guy that's going to sit there and ask or try to get something more exciting. But for the Florida Gators, Felipe Franks was one of those quarterbacks that, you know, he started the season, he's throwing those picks. They weren't sure if he was going to win. It wasn't Dan Mullen's guy. Everybody was trying to take that next step. And then, lo and behold, he started to grow on you. He wins the game against Florida State, and yes, Florida State's down, but when you put 41 on a rival and you haven't beat them in a while, people are excited. Then Davis Allen, Jordan Glass, they go cover the Peach Bowl on the sports call right there at the brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They get you with only $2 chicken biscuits, but hit you with the $1,000 ticket, you know. But, hey, you get a couple dollars off that incredible Chick-fil-A biscuit. The difference is, for that game, Felipe Franks looked like the man. He started to shine, and that's what we're trying to base on. It's like all those moments you get in a fight with a girlfriend or something. You're almost in, you know, a fiance. You're about to date, and you're thinking, okay, you know what? We've been together for 6-7 years, and man, life has been awesome. I'm ready to ask that question. And then something happens, and you're like, okay, focus on all that other stuff. For Gator fans, it's like, do not focus on the pick against Georgia. Do not focus on the season before him trying to win the battle. Focus on the last couple weeks. And the last couple weeks were oh so good for Felipe Franks and the Florida Gators. So they're trying to build on an incredible run, and number 8 in the nation, not too shabby. Joining us, he'll be covering the game live out there, and you can hear him kind enough to stop by right here and making sure that I believe that is his microphone right there.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We got it.
See, it's like playing. We've got we got microphone roulette in here. We got about 4 new headphones in here. So you picked the right one right there.
Oh man,
we've got it color coordinated. I'm orange today, and you are. It's like playing Simon Says.
Yeah,
you are red.
I'm our sister station, News Radio Red. So it's
What's
only fitting. Man,
Davis Allen.
I just came back from the yacht club. I was attending Grover Robinson's speech. It was his address to the city. It was the state of the city.
Yes.
So that was cool. And now here I am. I caught the sort of the beginning of this show, then the middle, and then I figured, okay, I got to at least hop in on the last segment because I am fired up about this weekend. I am going to be in Orlando this Saturday. Actually, I'm going to leave Thursday, so I'm going to be able to be there for Friday's College Game Day media availability. So
Don't bring a sign.
No, I can't bring a sign, apparently. Can't bring a flag either. So I'm sorry. Shout out to my people at Washington State. I guess your record's going to get snapped, but I find that hard to believe.
Somebody will get
I think
it
the
in
game day set's going to figure out a way to make it happen because they really embrace the flags and they embrace the Washington State flag. So I think they're going to do something to make sure that they at least do their part to keep that streak going because it's well over 200 college game days in a row now that Washington State has had their flag anywhere. It doesn't matter where, but it's somewhere. So I think College Game Day is going to do their part.
They'll find
to
a
make
way
sure
to get
it
it
happens.
in. They'll find, or they'll like do one of those. Look, if we can get a hologram Elvis, we can get a hologram flag. Like digital in there, like floating. Like look at that. Like ESPN, just so people don't lose money. Like at least find a way to get it in. It'll get into the stadium. I don't think they're as concerned as more the broadband of the flags and the hooligans and the shenanigans of Disney. Disney has a reputation. It's like the Masters, where those pimento and cheese sandwiches even have green wrappers that look like grass in case someone throws it. Just like at Disney, they have a certain culture. And they don't want flags in there representing what they do not believe in. Believe me, I just got back from Disney and have a daughter that paid $75 for Mickey ears. Davis, when you look at this game itself, I went with 28-17. I like the Florida Gators to win. I think they covered the 7.5 points. They're a better football team than my Hurricanes. The Hurricanes over the last couple years have lived a lot on reputation, but when they've gone up against a big dog like LSU last year at the beginning of the year or Wisconsin in a bowl game, they've got smashed in the mouth. And I don't think this is going to be any different. They've got a couple guys in the middle, linebackers that are really, really good. And I was looking at their roster. Shaq Quarterman, guys like Michael Pinckney. These are two seniors that could be All-Americans. The difference is, until last week, they didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. That's the X factor. We don't know a lot about Williams. We know Tate Martell might be the long snapper at best. But I like Florida. They're a more consistent team. They got a better coach. 28-17, they get the victory.
Well, I like Florida too in this ball game as well, and I'm really, I still have that big question mark at the quarterback position. This is the first time in a long time that Florida does have a starting quarterback going into the beginning of the year. However, though, I'm almost inclined to take Miami at the end.
Yeah, Davis enjoyed it. For all of us here out here on Gator Talk, thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to being with you throughout the year, 1 to 2. I am Chad Brillante for Davis Allen. Have a great rest of your day. Brought to you by Stephen T. Holman Law Firm. This has been Gator Talk on ESPN Pensacola 1330 and 99.1 FM. Coming back for more.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1 WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
All them dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and swamp, the Aggies wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprise. Hit 'em with the flex. From Williams Bikes to Death Valley. On the Five Mile Show, Paul's on the roll. If he don't get the best of me, call Paul.
Alabama. It's your show. Go ahead. You got a damn burning crappy attitude. Let me talk, Danny. Okay, go. Talk about the tide that's rolling.